Hello.
Hello. Hey, how are you this fine day?
Doing good. How about you?
Doing well.
Good.
I can show you sort of here, and I'll point out a few things if you'd like, and then you can just look at whatever you want.
Sure. Yeah.
This is Route 60 before it was paved. I think that's kind of fun because
Oh,
that's
wow.
the highway. There's the Congregational Church that's still there. This is a wooden sidewalk and wooden fence, and this house somewhere along the line got a porch added. It's still right there. It looks just like that now. It's on B Street, down on the corner. I'm trying to think what street it is, but it still hadn't been paved. This was when we had the trolley at this point. And this is a picture of B Street.
Oh, wow.
Right down here at where the bank built. This is the bank building. And here's Main Street because there's a little Methodist church that's down there on the right. So that's what the first bank building looked like, and that's what the sloppy mud looked like. This is Thayer and Horde, and they were congressmen. They disagreed with slavery greatly, and Mr. Thayer decided he wanted to come east or west in Virginia as far as he could come, which puts us here. He was going to find a place, build a town, then they could get into politics, and then they could get rid of the slavery issue. Well, first of all, he came down and he stayed in this house, which was on 4th Street East, down on the riverside of 4th Street East. And this man was a farmer. He had most of what you see in Ceredo today. It was a lot of timberline, but now he had a few slaves, so his slaves cleaned off around the house and lots of acreage, and they had nothing but lots of grain that was in full harvest. So Mr. Thayer comes down and stays at this house because this was used when you were traveling. You could stay there and they would feed you and feed your horse if you were with the horse. So he goes back and he said, he steps out on this balcony and he said, this looks like Ceres, the goddess of grain, has been here because everything was ready for plucking. And he said, I'm going to move here. I'm going to name my city Ceredo after the goddess of grain. And now they have started in the city things. They're putting this little shaft of wheat.
Yeah.
Is on well, that's why. Long story short, the war hit, tore it to pieces. So Mr. Horde said, I need the money I loaned you to start your city. And he said, I don't have any money. All I have is the deed to my city, Ceredo. So Mr. Thayer gave Mr. Horde the deed. Then he and his two boys came and began to rebuild Ceredo. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, the story of Ceredo. This house is on Beach Street, and this guy, Mr. Miller, was a big in the railroad. I think he was a lawyer. He was all kinds of things. But he built this house, and he went out in the county to decide where the next railroad needed to go. And he said, oh, this is a pretty little place. I'm going to name it after my pretty little daughter, Lavalette. So this is where Lavalette gets its name. And now that is the pumpkin house.
Okay.
So it's that house. The bootmaker that was coming to build this new town was Z.D. Ramsdell. Now his house is over on B Street. It's the oldest brick house in Ceredo. And he built this saddle before the Civil War. He wrote it during the Civil War and after the Civil War. All of this is Pilgrim. So you get down here, and that's Bischoff, which was another little tiny one. Did this kind of stuff, and the bigger pieces over the door are Bischoff.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of fun because the people that work at Pilgrim, when they get to this amber coloring glass that they made, would say they used brown sugar a lot of times to give it that color, and somebody else said yes, and if somebody had a chew of tobacco in his mouth, he might just spit that in there too. These are cannonballs that are from Ceredo during the war, and it's just interesting to feel the weight of them as they progress, because you get a little better feel of how that could do you some damage, and then that size comes along, and then we have this size, which comes along pretty well.
Cannot imagine.
Can you just, I mean, you think about that. Now this Jim Dandy would do double duty. I mean, But look, it's, it's not even. It's not, they just put it
No.
in a cast and,
Oh my goodness.
now isn't that just interesting?
Yeah, it's all pitted and rough.
Yeah, I mean,
and,
it's
oh,
just
man.
rough, but they got the job done, I guess. It must have been really slow because you had to put this thing in the cannon and tamp. I mean, you always see them tamping it down. It's kind of a slow motion war.
Yeah.
They did the same thing with the bullets they put in. They didn't just shoot. They had to take a lot more time. Petroglyph is really why the museum is here. In the first place, this was dug up in the Ohio, right straight down at the end of Main Street. The contractor recognized there was something about it, and he knew it was a petroglyph, I guess, so he brought it to the attention of the people or the mayor. We had to go to court to get it because a lot of other museums wanted it, but Mose Napier went to court, and they said if Ceredo can find a place to put it out of the elements, then they can have it. So that is well over 1,000 years old. That has been documented. Those I can tell you for sure because it had to go through the courts and all that other to find it. The petroglyph stayed as well as it did because of the sand that's in the river, and it's very soft, and that's why there are so many glass plants in West Virginia, because the sand is right, and so it kept, it did not erase the carvings that are in there.
Yeah, this is incredible.
Nobody knows exactly what it says, and I found this not too long ago, which really does help. I knew there were 4 Thunderbirds on there, but they have kind of outlined, and I must get some chalk and go over it again because somebody at some time has done that. But it does kind of help. The warbirds are here, and then there's this one flying this way. Nobody knows what it says. They don't know what this is. The signal for eternity. This one I really had almost missed up here in the corner. I have no idea. You can make it say anything you want.
Right? It's up for interpretation.
Anything you want. Yes, you can.